We turn now to State Representative Mike Kennedy. Mike, great to have you with us. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's go back to your decision. When you first decided to run, what went into it and really pushed you over the edge to get into this race to represent Utah in the U.S. Senate?
I just say that's the most important part to me, is that I want a great representative from the state of Utah who knows the state, loves the state, and knows the people. And so that was a big part of it. But interestingly, as I've been thinking about this since a year ago, last May, as far as should I run this race, and for me, Glenn, there were a lot of different breakpoints that I had to consider. I love my legislative work. I've been in the state legislature now for 6 years, and I knew that if I filed for this federal seat that I wouldn't have an opportunity to be a state legislator anymore, in addition to the significant change as to my professional status and the idea of being a full-time politician versus a full-time doctor. I love what I do as a doctor every day, and so I had to make, over that year's transition, a variety of decisions that didn't have anything to do with my opponent or whether Orrin Hatch was going to run the race. I actually just felt like I'm 49 years old. It was my time to bring the skill set that I had that I thought would be very useful for the people of Utah to this arena and offer that to them.
I want to get back to your opponent more specifically, but did you announce as soon as you made that decision? Did it take you that long to make the decision?
The decision, it was made well before that. But
okay, so why did you wait then to jump in officially?
I had to finish the legislative session, which didn't finish until just a little bit before the filing period. And the reason why, Glenn, and you know how the legislative session is I did not want the cloud of a federal race over me as I tried to do my legislative work. I wanted to be 100% what I should be for my people that I represent, and that's a state legislator.
Let's go back to your opponent, Mitt Romney. I know a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I know some that personally told me that once he got in, you know, they were eyeing the race, but once he got in, they were out. So just even the threat of him getting in kept other people that have pretty big names in Utah politics out of the race. Why didn't that stop you?
I believe it's important for us all to just bring ourselves to this process, and I felt like that in spite of the fact that his name recognition was something that I couldn't duplicate as a state representative and as a doctor, it was still something that didn't make the decision any different for me. I knew that it would be a challenge, but I knew any statewide race that required the kind of funds and getting around to the people in the state, that it was going to be a challenge for me and my family. But in the Kennedy family, we are more than happy to take on hard challenges, and we've done that before, and that's why we got in at this point.
I was covering the debate down at BYU, sponsored by the Utah Debate Commission. The two of you were pretty agreeable on a lot of issues. So what is it that differentiates you from Mitt Romney?
I really enjoyed the debate. I thought it was a great opportunity for us to distinguish ourselves from people. And the first thing I'd say is the main thing that's consistent about my opponent's record is its inconsistency. He's changed here and there as to his record, and I appreciate what he's saying when he's living in Utah and offering that to the people. And we do sound very similar on the campaign trail. I've heard him many times. He's heard me as well. But the reality is if you look back on his record, there are distinctions in that record as to what he said in the past. And so on that debate, it was an opportunity for us to share ideas in that format. But I believe that the key distinctions are that I've lived here, I've worked here, I've raised my family here and built my small business here, and I've been here for my adult life, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity to know Utah on that microscopic level where I know the people of Utah, but on the legislative surface as well. I've been able to, as a result of that, understand the more overarching themes associated with Utah and Utah-related issues. And we, along with the governor and the representatives and the senators, we actually have worked on solving Utah-specific problems in a way that my opponent can't duplicate.
You've made a lot on the campaign trail in regard to you supporting President Trump. Specifically, what is it that you support about President Trump?
There's a new sheriff in town, and it's been pretty impressive to watch the things that he's done. And as you know, and your viewers know, is that we're just less than a week away from an historic summit where we're going to have the opportunity to see North and South Korea actually working on a denuclearization proposal with the president as a key player in that process. And I just think that's one example of many that he's moving things in the right direction, and I stand with him in moving that conservative agenda forward that he's trying to work with.
Are there issues that you don't stand with him where you say, I need to distance myself there?
There's always going to be that, and I think the main one is I don't tweet as much as he does, and it's something that I just say I'm not as much of a tweeter, but otherwise I stand with the president and think he's done a lot of really important things. When I do disagree, which is invariable in politics or in dealings with each other as people, there's going to be disagreements, but I'll do so respectfully if I have disagreements. I don't need to I don't need to be public with my debates that way.
I think you guys were asked a question whether or not you would allow your children to look up to President Trump in the debate. Let's take another step forward. If you saw your children tweeting in the way that President Trump does, how would you handle that?
You know what's interesting about that role model example is, so I'm a family doctor. I professionally take care of children and patients. It's a great opportunity for me to work with those good patients. And then I have 8 children of my own. And I don't really believe that I've ever pointed to any president as this is the role model for my children or my pediatric patients. I believe actually our role models really should be the parents of the children. And when it comes to how a president conducts themselves, yeah, that's important for our society, and they should try to be genuine and decent for our society on multiple levels. But I'd also say that in working with children, I've worked really hard to actually set them on a path of who is their role model. It should be their parents and teachers and their community leaders, not somebody that far away.
I have about 30 seconds left, but I want to get to this. Pastor Jeffress came up in the debate. It seems to be the most heated point of that. Was it a mistake to call him and apologize?
I would just say, as to Pastor Jeffress, I'm all about building bridges, and I'll call out people when they need to be called out. But
are you disappointed by the things he said in the past, though?
I don't agree with those, but I've met multiple people that feel that same way, and I believe we can work together on commonalities rather than slinging terms that are inflammatory like bigot around.
So that wasn't a mistake. You would do it again if you had the chance.
I would talk to the pastor. I don't believe that I would have gone in the ways that I would have gone, but I think it's important to build bridges and work with people, and I see a lot of commonalities with our evangelical Christian brothers and sisters throughout the country. I'd like to work with them on religious freedom and other things.
All right, we are coming down the stretch. We'll see how this plays out in the coming weeks. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Glenn.
You bet. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Inside Utah Politics panel after the break.